This photograph is found in a publication put out by United Press International and American Heritage magazine after John Kennedy was assassinated, and it's blown up to 2 entire pages, and there's no writing of any type. And you can kind of follow the heads back to that. It's with the untrained eye. There's no aid. I just have the light on and the slats open. It's pretty obvious why they felt the need. Also, just so you can see, over the years people have claimed that there's a guy here, 2 guys here, Badge Man and Black Dog Man. They say they're about here. You can see that there's nothing here. There's absolutely nothing there. Okay? It's like nothing there. As a matter of fact, they're too big for anybody who's looked at the figures they draw there are too big for the size. Yeah, too big. People aren't that big. So anyway, once again, and this bike cop here, I believe it's this one or both of them, both rode up the knoll here and dropped their bikes. One of them went behind the fence, either jumped it or went around and encountered a man with Secret Service credentials. This is the same spot where they've been on the triple underpass, which is to the left here. Saw the smoke come out from under the tree. I don't believe it's a sniper myself. I believe it's a man that is the spotter for the sniper. He tells him if it's a good hit or not. And it's behind this fence that there once was a 14-foot high train tower, because there's a train yard back here, and the train tower had the operator inside, and he would control the trains running through the yard, and that man was Lee Bowers Jr. And Lee Bowers Jr. was interviewed by a man named Mark Lane. As a matter of fact, Mark Lane made a film called Rush to Judgment, which was named after his book. And in the film Rush to Judgment, Mark Lane has this book on his lap. And if you ever see the film, you can tell, because I believe it's either turned to this page. I think it's turned to this page, or to this page. It's on his lap. A couple of scenes. So, what you don't know, unless you have this, is that this is on the lap of Mark Lane during his interviews with the witnesses in the film Rush to Judgment in a couple of spots. So, in this book, which is now out of print, which is called Citizens of the Sand, Mark Lane Replies, which is his second book on John Kennedy's assassination, we have this quotation from his interview with Lee Bowers Jr., which portions of are in the film Rush to Judgment, but not this, and these portions are not in any other book on John Kennedy's assassination that he wrote, and he's the only one that has these recorded interviews. He's dead now. He died in 2016. Anyway, in my filmed and tape-recorded interview with Lee Bowers, a similar story was recounted by the witness. During this period, there were some trains moving through the railroad yards, and these trains had been stopped for some reason or another just a little south of my area. Since there was the possibility that someone could have climbed aboard these, primarily the freight train primarily, I pulled the train up immediately opposite the tower after alerting the police that I intended to do so, and I stopped the train and gave them a chance to examine it and to be sure that there was no one on it. There's a footnote. So like he says, right after he saw the flash of light, the puff of smoke behind the fence, he decided for some reason that he needed to stop this one train moving through the yard. Okay? So, was there anybody on it? As a matter of fact, Bowers said to me there were 3 people on it. who appeared to be winos, or perhaps the most frightened winos I've ever seen in my life, since there were possibly 50 policemen with shotguns and Tommy guns and various other weapons, shaking them out of the boxcars. And this was perhaps their roost shakedown off of a freight train in their lives. Perhaps their last might have cured them. So, I think it's a case of putting two and two together if you hear the entirety of Bauer's interview and read what was there. I've never seen that portion filmed. And that's, he saw two men here. He saw a flash of light, puff of smoke. And then he most likely saw one or both of them go to the freight car on that train. And he immediately stopped the train. Now, that's my guess, because it makes sense, you know? Because his eye would have still been on those two men, you would have thought. And why else would he stop the train? Unless he had seen them make off in that direction. And of course, one of the three tramps resembles E. Howard Hunt, who would later be the who would later be the man who ran the Watergate break-in for the community to re-elect the president for Richard Nixon. And in Mark Lane's later book, Plausible Denial, it's about a court case he was brought into. It was about a case where E. Howard Hunt had sued a magazine, a right-wing magazine, as a matter of fact, for a case of defamation or some sort, because they claimed he had been in Dallas the day of John Kennedy's assassination. And they lost the case, and so they attained Mark Lane for their appeal, which was rather ironic, because Mark Lane's a lawyer who's a liberal, who is known for the Winter Soldiers, and being the man who really did the first looking into one of the first to look into John Kennedy's assassination, and just to claim that Oswald had done it. So in that case, he proved on appeal, because Howard Hunt lost, that Howard Hunt had indeed been in Dallas that day, and was most likely the paymaster for the assassins. But that's in his book, Plausible Denial. So, like I said, here's the photograph, and it was available in a publication that came out right after John Kennedy's assassination. That was available through your local paper. This one my mom got through the Oregon Journal, which no longer exists. This one came through the Danville News. Or you could just get it straight from United Press International. And doesn't have any. If you got it through your local newspaper, it would it had something embossed, I think, at the bottom. No, not there, just on the bottom of the outer cover. So there you go. One final item, I'm going to linger on this photograph one last time, is also in this book. A couple of interesting things, actually. This sack lunch they're claiming is Oswald's isn't. Okay? It's the guy that had the chicken lunch in the Coke. Just to show you that. Yeah. But it's this. What it is a telex that comes off of the wire. Back when, before computers, we had the telex, which made a clackety clack sound in the background. If you're watching the news, there's the sound in the background, the clackety clack. That's the telex. And news would come off the wire. And in this case, the day John Kennedy was assassinated, there was a murder case that was coming off the wire. And it was interrupted. It was interrupted at 12:34 p.m. Standard Time. Okay, Central Standard Time. 12:34 p.m. That's what? 2 minutes after the shooting? 12:32, something like that. And here it is. And you can see what's wrong with it. This is right off the telex. 12:34 p.m. Central Standard Time. 2 minutes after the shooting. And you can see it goes right back in to the court trial. That's up. That's okay. Now it's 12:39. See, the time stamp. This is as the time on the telex is as you review as it comes in. Just so you should, so that I'm showing that it's not the time in the story, it's the time that it actually came off. So it's really 2 minutes after the shooting. They already know that's 3 shots. That's it. See? Which is really weird. Because most people, the vast majority of the witnesses, heard more than 3 shots. One last time. So I know this is kind of long. I didn't mean to ramble. And like you said, I'm just holding the camera above it. This is with the untrained eye. There's no aid to it. And that's pretty conclusive. It's definitely just behind the fence and in front of the foliage behind it. The fence is about 5.5 feet, about 5 feet tall.